Okay, so again, this is something you've done in the past. Year 7 and 8, definitely year 8. Okay, so this should be a recap for you. Now, factorising is the opposite of expanding. We all remember how to expand, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we've got
FOIL thing.
FOIL is the two brackets. So expanding is just, if there's something in front of a bracket, we multiply everything inside it by that number. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're looking at an expression here and saying, okay, is there something common? Okay. When I say is there something common, I mean is there a value or a letter that can be divided into both of these two? So one way of doing it is to say, well, I'm going to consider the number, these terms as 3 lots of x. So 3x, that's fine. 12. Now 12 could be considered as 2 times 6, 1 times 12, and 3 times 4. Yes, do we all agree with that?
Yes.
Which one of those is the most useful in our situation if we're looking for something that's common? Emily?
3 times 4.
Why?
Because there's already a 3.
Good, there's already a 3. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to, rather than write plus 12, I'm going to write plus 3 times 4. Now, just the dot at the bottom means multiply. You can write a multiply sign if you wish. It's already there though for you. But when you're doing yours, you
Wait, I
can
thought factorizing was making it smaller.
It is, darling.
Then why
Okay?
does that expand?
It hasn't expanded, I'm just changing the way I've written it. Okay? Now, I can see that I've got a 3 in both terms, bless you. So whatever value I've just underlined that's common goes to the front, and anything that's left goes inside a bracket. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that was a really long process. I don't need to do all of that to be able to see that 3 is common. Whichever method you use, I am totally fine with. I'm not expecting you to always rewrite the question like this, but you need to make sure you're getting the correct answer every time. Now, something that you may do is say, okay, I'm looking at 3x and I'm looking at 12, and I know that 3 is my common thing, so I'm going to put my 3 to the front and say, right, what do I have to multiply this 3 by to get 3x? Well, that's obviously x. What do I have to multiply 3 by to get back to 12? That's my 4. So that's another way, that's another thought process as to how you can factorize. Now, Vintage, you have to remember.
So, quick question. So, basically, for the first one, well, obviously the first step that you did, do you do it to the lowest you can possibly go to?
No, it will depend on what the other term is. So Emily told me that this one was the best one because there was a 3 involved. Okay, having 1 and 12 is no good because that wasn't common to 3. Okay, so we're looking for common factors. Okay, so something that's in both of them.
Can you explain to me again? I didn't quite get why you did the brackets.
That's what we're trying to do. Factorizing is brackets, putting brackets in.
And what is it meant to do though? Is it meant to make the number smaller?
It's to write it in a different format. So what we've done now is we've gone from being 3x plus 12, which is 2 separate terms here, to a smaller version inside the bracket, and they are both being multiplied by this number.
Would you answer that again? Or is it
We have factorized it.
Oh, so
Now, we use factorized things later on for other things. So you have to have the skill in order to do things later on. Okay?
If you have 2 whole numbers that are, or 2 integers that are just left over and they're not the key term or
The common term.
common term, if they're not the common term, do you add them together in the bracket?
Yes, but you wouldn't get that because if you end up with 2 things in here that can be joined together, it means that your original expression would have been able to be simplified.
Okay.
So if you had 3p plus 6p, no, that's not good. If you had 3x plus, you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't be able to simplify because whatever I'm going to write is just would be rubbish. Okay. Well, so I've helped you out here because I've got 8x and I've got 20. So you're looking at those values. So kind of pretend this bit's not here. So you've got 8x and 20. You're saying to yourself, what's the biggest thing that's common to both 8x and 20? So hopefully, I'm only doing it just because I've already written it. Hopefully you can all see that 4 is the biggest number that goes into both of those two. Yes? So what I've done is rather than writing 8x, I've written 4 lots of 2x and 4 lots of 5. Okay, as I say, this step here is not essential. You don't have to write it like this. I'm doing it in your notes here to try and help you understand what's happening. So we're changing our number from being an 8x to being 4 lots of 2x. I can then see that 4 is common, so that's the thing that goes at the front. And anything that's left goes inside my bracket. Now, a check process could be to expand your bracket. Okay? So to check your answer, when you expand your bracket, you should end up with the original question. Okay? So if I were to do 4 lots of 2x, I would get 8x. 4 lots of 5 gives me 20, which is what I was trying to rewrite. Okay? So this is a correct factorized version. Now, the issue comes when you're doing this is that often the question will say fully factorize. Okay? Because what I could have done is said, well look, I can see I've got 8x and I've got 20, and I know that 2 goes into both of those. So I could say this is 2 lots of 4x and 2 lots of 10. And so my 2 is common, and I've got 4x plus 10 in my bracket, and I get very happy with myself, and I say, great, I've factorized it. Okay? And if I were to expand that out, I'd end up with 8x plus 20. Oh, I'm awesome. But
It can go further.
this is not fully factorized. So you have to be really careful when you are factorizing. I want you to look at what you've got left in your bracket. Okay? If you look at your bracket and there is still something that's common, and hopefully you can still see that both of these two numbers can be divided by 2, then you haven't chosen wisely. Okay, so you need to go back to the drawing board and say, right, there must be a bigger number that goes into these. Okay, so that's what you need to be careful with. So you need to make sure you're fully factorizing. Because I think the process of factorizing is probably doable and you're familiar with it, but fully factorizing is the important thing. Sarah?
So it's the most common number that is...
It's the biggest common thing.
Okay.
Okay, it's not always a number, it can be a letter. Emily?
If you say, if like a question on the test says fully factorized, what do we do?
You do what you're supposed to do, so you just factorize it.
Oh.
But what I'm saying is that if the question says just factorize, this officially is a correct answer, okay? But you haven't fully factorized. So let's assume that every question you get is asking you to always fully factorize. Okay?
And how could you factorize that number again?
This one?
No, the 2 bracket 4x plus 10.
Because I can see that 2 is common here. So I've already got this 2, and I can see that 2 is common again. And this 2 times 2 gives me my 4. So probably easier though to say, right, I've done something wrong, I'm going to go back to my numbers and see which number I should have had. Okay, so I would probably just start again, because this part here can be a little confusing. Okay. Right, next one. As I've said, it's not always going to be a number that's common. I've got x squared. We have to remember what x squared means. It means x multiplied by x. And obviously 5x means 5 times x. So we've got x that's common. Oh, should I just underline the wrong thing? X that's common, so that's at the front. And x plus 5 goes in my bracket. Okay? No. Okay, so no. So if you've got x is common and you've underlined these x's, you will only underline them if they are common to both terms. Okay, so I wouldn't have been able to underline both of these two because there was only one x here. So if there were two x's here, you could underline both of them, and that would be x squared.
Yes, x squared.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I try and answer the next one?
Well, I'm only
Oh wait, do we have?
avoiding this because I've written the starting set for each one of them.
Oh,
I think on the next page I haven't done it.
Okay.
So.
The next one's
Well, I guess so, yeah. Come on.
You have to underline them.
No, darling, you don't. These things, like the brackets yesterday, I was a bit forceful about, and I really want you to try and do that. Any of these other things, they're my way of trying to help you. If you are fine and you get the questions right every single time without it, then of course, no, you don't have to. All right, so here I've got my 6x squared. I know that means 6x times x. Be careful. Sometimes people say they think that means 6x times 6x, okay? And that's not the case. It's just 6xx. And then the 6x, so I can see I've got a 6 that I can underline. I've got an x that I can underline, so that's common. And I've got an x left, a plus sign, and then nothing, okay? So what I've said here is if you underline each part of the term, you're left with a 1. Because I know that I can always have 1 next to anything and I haven't changed the question at all. Okay? So essentially what I've done here is I've said this is 6 times 1. Alright? Yes. Okay? And yeah, so if I had 2 terms here at the beginning, I'm going to have 2 terms in my bracket. Okay, am I right?
So you couldn't have written like 6 and in the bracket x squared.
No, because that would be the same situation as if we had 6x squared plus x, we've still got something common. And so we haven't fully factorized this. Sarah?
So for the 6x, I thought it was because it was 6x squared, and you underlined for the main 2 x's. Wouldn't you do 6x squared in front of the?
No, but I only had 1x here and 1x here, so I could only have 6x.
Oh, I thought that you did the 6 separately than the x. No, it's okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Would you like lose marks? Because you know how sometimes
It does.
working out gives you more marks. If you don't do like the 6 times x, does that give you more marks?
No, to be honest, these are normally 1 for this and perhaps 1 for that maximum. Okay, so you wouldn't, it's not, your working is recognizing what's common. Okay, and then what's left. It's not really the way you do it. Okay, that's a good question. Right, x squared y plus 3xy. So obviously x squared y means xxy, and then 3xy. I just didn't like the dots in these ones. What's common? Well, I can underline one of my x's here and one here, and 1y, 1y. So just x and y go at the front, and then I'm left with an x, a plus, and a 3. Could you write a 3 plus x? Yes. But to be honest, I would normally stick to the order that they've given you the terms. So I would stick to x plus 3. Oh, I have done as well. Oh, this is a repeat.
You did this one already.
Yeah, I did. And this one.
Well, on the other page, there's
Yeah, but they're different.
that one has dots in it though.
All right. Okay.
Let's cross them out.
Yeah, I don't know what I think I put it on one page and forgot to delete the page.
Sorry.
Negative